Hello, and welcome to the Above Board podcast from Fathom Analytics. I am Paul Jarvis, and I'm joined, as usual, with Jack Ellis.
Good day.
Good day to you, sir. All right, we have an action-packed, well, maybe. we have a lot of notes to make this an action-packed podcast, so I guess our listeners will be the judge by the end of it, if that is true or false.
Mm-hmm. First things first, I mean, the listeners of the podcast will know that we've changed some things around on how we work and how we ship. We talked about it, but how is it playing out in actual practice? Well, it's going really well.
Yeah. There are things shipped.
Yeah, things are shipping. They're smaller things and they're shipping more frequently. We're now back to, where Fathom feels like right now it feels like early day Fathom, where we are shipping regularly what people are wanting. So first things first, we got the details box up. Do you want to explain what that was?
Yeah, so basically people have been asking for a way to see more data from a box on a page. So right now, I think pages/domains and refers/sources have 10 items per pagination, and then all the other boxes have 5, I think. So if you click details, which is the little list icon beside the search in the bottom left of any box, then you go to a page that will show you, I think we're paginating at 50. There's nice. 50 rows per page, which is, if you want more details about any of the boxes, you can do that. But then the other thing that details shows for pages right now is bounces in average time per page.
Yep.
Which is pretty awesome. People have been asking for this for a while. It's a cool, so technically we mark it on the fact that we're a one-page dashboard. Now this is technically, it's not really a page, it's just like an expanded view. So it's still technically a one page.
It stays on the dashboard too, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So, that was really cool. I definitely like how it works. It doesn't, we had a few ways of doing this. We had the modal pop up, we had the keeping it within the dashboard, keeping the chart there. And then you can actually now filter by this as you're going through it as well.
Yeah.
Which I think is really powerful. It actually keeps you in that, what you just said, the one page dashboard, it keeps you in that context. It doesn't spin up a new context, which I think is really cool.
Yeah. And the filtering thing's important. So you can add a filter for, say, like in referrals, you can say, I want to look at like all of the refers that were Google, and then you can click on the pages box details and you can see the details for all the pages, but it still has the refer hostname equals Google applied. So you can create a bunch of filters, then go into details and then look at that filtered information, which I don't know, I think is pretty neat.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, we built it, so we're biased, but customers so far like it. There hasn't been any support issues with either thing, which knock on wood, but like we've launched these a couple weeks ago at this point, and so it seems to like everybody just seems to understand how it works and just be using it, which is pretty cool. Which is like best case scenario, I guess.
Absolutely. The second thing we launched was the sources box. Now, for a long time, people have been asking it's a simple grouping, really. We just had to update every single page view in the database to mark it historically from 2021. Couldn't do it on Google data. We just didn't get that from Universal Analytics importer. We just don't get that. And then the GA4 doesn't have it. I think we talked a bunch about it and there were reasons against doing it. So we didn't do it for the GA data. And I guess if I said to people V1 data, no one really knows what that means because the portion of people is so small compared to everyone else using it. But we got it shipped on all data from 2021 onwards, basically.
Yes.
Which is kind of incredible, if I don't say so myself.
Yeah, I guess that's a point too, right? Like as we launch new features, if possible, we're trying to make it work with data that we've already collected, which is sometimes possible and sometimes not. Because if we make a new feature, then sometimes it's a new feature based on data that we didn't have previously. So for sources, actually, no, for sources, we had to add two things for Bing and Google Ads. Right?
Oh yeah, so we don't store, so we basically have a list of things that we allow for query string parameters. The reason we do this is because sensitive information can come in on query string parameters, and we don't even want our servers to touch it. So we actually filter this on the client side. And you could say it's a bit excessive, but I mean, we are literally trying to be the most privacy first analytics on the planet, and we do things like that because it keeping we practice data minimization across the whole business, right? We don't want to have any data that we don't need. We don't even want to process it. So we strip out the query string on the client. We've had to modify that because we now need to include the Bing click ID or the MS click ID and the Google click ID, G click ID. Because those, and we don't store those, but they indicate that it was from a paid campaign. If you're doing paid adverts, and so you can see what pages they're going to, and then the things like conversions.
Yeah.
And then we get the direct, which is when it just comes in. Like I think direct is when it hasn't got any referrer. And then I haven't tested we're already on to new things. This is another thing.
I know.
When me and Paul were saying, I think, or we think it's 50, I think it's 10, or I think it's this, we are already on the next thing. So as we're talking about it, I mean, right now we're working on Teams and some other things which we'll talk about in the upcoming episodes. Organic would mean it came from the search engine. What would organic mean? No, organic means it has a referrer. We've documented this on
Yes, so organic means it has a referrer, but it does not contain a UTM or a MS click ID or a G click ID.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I know I had to look up our documentation because we document these things, but then it falls out of both of our brains because by the time we launch it, you and I are already onto different things. So
yeah, I'm honestly, I'm thinking about other things already. So it's
yeah, same.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so we launched those two things. Things are going well. We're already on to Teams and actually just looking at the PRs and we're already on to other things. So we're going to briefly talk about something that's happened in the community in the last week. Lemon Squeezy, the merchant of record, which handles all sales tax and things like that for you, and a bunch of other things. They're not even, you can call them a merchant of record. They did some really cool stuff. They're like their affiliate program, various other things were done really well, and just a lot of the features they offered. So they were...
Yeah, it's just an all-in-one for e-commerce, basically.
Yeah, and calling them merchant of record feels like I'm minimizing what they actually do. They were a Stripe competitor, effectively. They used Stripe, but they offered a bunch more stuff, right? And they didn't just use Stripe, they used other things.
Yeah, they integrated with PayPal too, which good for them because PayPal's difficult.
Yeah, so they were effectively a payment platform. Anyway, Stripe has now acquired them. And it's been really, really cool to see. The guys that run Lemon Squeezy are really cool guys, and Fathom customers as well. So now Stripe is a Fathom customer. We'll get the logo on the homepage.
I know, right now. Go.
Oh my God, no, but jokes aside, Stripe is now a Fathom customer. Stripe acquiring them is cool. I mean, it's mostly everyone's been excited. The only bad thing I saw someone put was, now there's less competition, which sure is true. But I mean, Lemon Squeezy were using Stripe for a lot of things, and
yeah.
I don't see Stripe as bad. The only negative, I mean, I make jokes about Stripe, and I'll stop changing the fucking menu. They change the menu all the time, which drives me mental. But Stripe's not bad. I mean, the only thing I really see that would make you go, is when they close an account of an indie maker.
Yeah.
And the challenge I have with that is you never get the full context. Like Stripe does stuff to know your customer things. They do that with us, and I've been through it, and you have to be careful and smart about what you're uploading. Upload the right documents. You don't, if you're a legitimate business, they're not randomly locking accounts. But people have had issues where they've had their accounts locked. So I get the whole, there's one less competitor, sure. But I also think that the majority of people are using Stripe, and I think that if this is going to bring expertise with regards to sales tax collection, so we haven't got to do it ourselves, and they build it in the platform, and Stripe, they now have that knowledge from these people, I think that's a good thing. I think that's a net positive I don't think that Lemon Squeezy was taking a ton of business from Stripe because they were using Stripe for payments. It's not like it was, and I get that they could, I guess, not ban you and whatever, but I don't see it as this big loss. I see it as a big gain. I really do.
Yeah,
What do you
I
think?
mean, if some of the features that Lemon Squeezy has shows up in Stripe, I'll be very happy.
And like Stripe have always failed on sales tax, and I don't think it's a shame that has to then fall onto us to have to deal with. And I think that it would be cool if it was built in. The downside of merchants of records has always been that you are immediately, like, they have different thresholds depending on the country or depending on the US state and things like that. And the merchant of record, because they're the merchant, right? They are selling the product. You are already going to be at that higher tier because they're selling, potentially thousands of companies' products because they're the merchant of record. It's not you. You are not selling to the customer. They are selling to the customer on your behalf under some kind of license.
Yeah, which is tricky. And I mean, I kind of get that they have to be stricter than a lot of other types of businesses because this is money. And I mean, this has happened with like anybody that collects money on behalf of you. Like when PayPal locked a ton of accounts, and PayPal was way worse than Stripe, right? So that's why when Stripe was invented, almost everybody switched to Stripe, and Stripe became like the monopoly pretty quickly because it was just so much better.
I mean, PayPal. Okay, so it's funny, like, the comparison that PayPal is objectively shit.
Yes.
I think everyone I speak to has got a story. Not so much nowadays. I think they have changed. I do believe they've changed.
Or just nobody uses them, and that's why there's no stories.
Yeah, maybe. But dude, I had my account locked. I had my
same.
PayPal account locked, and they like restrict funds and things like that. It just feels wrong. But I know that a lot of, back in the day, hackers and scripters and whatever you want to call them used to use PayPal, and people compromised accounts and blah, blah, blah. I find Wise, people try to have a go at Wise for locking accounts. The one thing I have observed there is it's often nomads, people that are traveling around the world and the address is a bit up in the air. I have noticed that they will get locked more than quote unquote regular people. Us normies, if you want to call us normies.
Yeah.
So I do like Wise, but no, I think we'll see. I think Stripe are paying attention to the community, and I think this is going to be a good thing, generally speaking. And I hope that the Lemon Squeezy guys made a lot of money. I think that's really
same.
cool. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to sell to somebody selling to the main company,
$1 billion company,
yeah, like
maybe that was always their plan. They did it in, I want to say it was like 2 to 3 years. It wasn't a long time.
Yeah, they grew pretty quick too. So
it's interesting watching Gumroad sort of, but not position, virtuing against what's happened.
Yeah,
like this isn't a good thing for Gumroad, but just
I mean, well, that's the thing. Like, if one of our competitors sold to Google, we would be marketing the shit out of the fact that we haven't sold to Google, right?
Absolutely.
So, like, but I wouldn't. Yeah, I mean, I don't see Stripe the way that I see Google.
No, for sure. I mean, just thinking about Gumroad, I'm pretty sure I still have my courses going through Gumroad, and I will say about Gumroad, phenomenal platform, does what it promises to do. But I'm pretty sure that it's like 10% per sale. I want to say they used to have, but it's a tricky. Have we talked about Gumroad on this podcast before?
Yeah,
we have.
I think so.
Have? Okay, I like the fact that they're now making money. I think that's a good thing. They charge 10%, which is like, that's extreme, but they're making money and their product's improving faster. And I'm sort of like, well, they were making pennies before, not pennies, but they were making next to nothing before. Because I was my courses did well, so I was paying a tiny percentage of sales. 10% does feel high, doesn't it? It's quite.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard, right? Because like if they're doing all of the work of e-commerce, like that's maybe not that high, but it does. Yeah, like I mean, if we were paying 10% on our sales for Fathom, like that would be, ooh.
Yeah, that's insane.
But they're Gumroad, like we would never sell Fathom through Gumroad.
No,
it just wouldn't make sense. And isn't it, Gumroad's only like 2 people, isn't it? Anyways, they're like a. It is. It's like I think they're 2 full-time employees and like a dozen or 2 dozen contractors.
The structure is contractors, sure, but yeah, it's a bunch of them.
Yeah,
no, that is true. Yeah, I don't know who's the second person. It's Sahil and who? Not Sahil. Yeah, no. No, it's Sahil. Yeah.
It's Sahil. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just looking at the Anti-Work website who owns Gumroad, and that's Sahil and and somebody else. I apologize if you're listening to this and you're the somebody else, but like, I don't know. There's Jack Ellison team, and I'm in team, and I actually like that. So
you got to find out if there's a second person. I don't think there is a second person, but there might be.
It says there's 2 people. It says there's 2 full-time employees. I'm looking at the website.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I have no idea who that is.
Same.
Genuinely. But yeah, they're all contractors, and I get what they're doing. Hey, so also talking about payment processors, people are familiar with Paddle, who are also a merchant of record.
Yes.
The CEO was terminated, and again, that's obviously he's joked around this about it being all grandiose. I think the termination is just a term, right? Like, it's not, he wasn't terminated in that sense. But it's interesting because he started Paddle when he was 18, and he's been there, and they're I think a $1 billion company, in terms of valuation and everything. They have more than 4,000 companies who are using them, who are doing billions in annual revenue, which is absolutely phenomenal. I know that Laravel used them. I know that Tailwind used them.
Yeah.
And yeah, he actually, he's like done. And he said that Paddle was ready to run without him, which he considers a success, which it absolutely is true. And he's been transitioning out slowly, and as a new CEO, and he's now working on something else, which is awesome. I mean, I like Christian. Seems like a really nice guy. I have not met him yet, but I'm excited for that. Paddle are doing really good, and you sort of wonder how much money are they actually making. They've got a bunch of employees. Now I know that they're doing billions in revenue via their customers. I mean, that's substantial.
Man, it pays to be in the processing other people's money business.
Yeah, it does.
Jeez.
Yeah, we're in the wrong line of work, my friend.
Yeah, I wonder how many rows of data they have. It's probably not
less than us. Still
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, page views are a whole other beast. Yeah, so that's interesting. So the payment landscape is getting interesting right now.
Yeah,
but Paddle acquired Profitwell. I want to say it was for like 100 million or.
It was a lot. I don't remember what it was either, but I remember it being like, holy shit, that's some money.
$200 million.
Jesus.
I don't know how much of that was cash, but you remember they raised a huge round.
Yeah.
To partly to pay for this, and I wonder how much money. And they made a bunch of their employees really rich as well, which was so cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, Profitwell it was a weird acquisition because. You acquire it. They've got access to the people and everything, and they've got some cool functionality you bring in. $200 million. Just, I wonder how. You're talking about it. I have no opinion. I don't know anything about the acquisition or why it was done. But I was talking to a friend about this, and you think, okay, so they've got access to all these people they can sell Paddle to. What kind of ROI would you be able to get off of that? Like $200 million, okay?
Yeah.
Do you get enough access that you will generate enough volume in sales to justify $200 million? If they're doing billions of dollars in revenue, right? If they suddenly have access to this huge distribution, maybe they will make it back. Like $200 million.
Yeah. I wonder what the time horizon, what their expected time horizon for return on investment is for that much money.
And I thought they did that as like an acqui-hire where they wanted Patrick, because Patrick's ridiculously intelligent when it comes to this kind of stuff, and I understood that. But it's still $200 million. It must be distribution. People pay that for distribution. I mean, look at Wunderlist, and it wasn't 200 million, I don't think, but yeah. So that one's interesting. And Stripe we're coming back to Stripe here.
Yeah,
Stripe are getting better and better. I will say, I know that the Stripe CEO listens to this podcast, and I will say to you, please stop changing the menu, because it's driving me insane. Paul, I don't know if it's driving you insane. They change the menu every few months. There's no need to change the menu. It actually makes the product worse.
Yeah.
And they move things about, and then they introduce this shortcuts thing that you can't remove, and then any page you access, they add it to the shortcuts as a recent thing.
Yeah. It's frustrating. Apple does that too when you set up a new Mac, and I always turn all that shit off for like the sidebar and Finder.
Yeah.
Like, I literally don't want to see any of this shit.
It does my head in. But Stripe are also doing really cool things, and one of the things I've noticed that they've improved on is, I'd like to take a minute to say that this podcast is sponsored by Stripe. Stripe.com. Thank you for...
I'm literally looking in Stripe, and the top notification is we've updated our navigation 2 days ago. We've updated our navigation to make it easier to find things.
No, they can fuck off. Dude, I'm getting so angry at this. It's not even funny.
Oh, I'm sending you a screenshot right now. It's so funny because you're talking about this, and I just logged into our Stripe, and I'm looking at the top notification, and it's that.
Yeah, it's not. It does not make things easier. Okay, I will stop ragging on Stripe. Stripe have made some really cool changes. When we were first using Stripe, we had to build things like sending the email. Like, no, they had always had invoices being sent. But if you wanted dunning, where you are trying to recover the payment and get the payment processed, and you wanted something a bit more complex, you certainly couldn't use Stripe in the capacity you can use it now. They've completely upgraded it with all the emails you can do, and just the whole process you can go through is really, really clever. And we are now moving towards using that, which is really cool. The goal is actually to remove a bunch of code from our code base to not have to use, because we're doing our own dunning, right? We're sending out those emails. Mm-hmm. We're going to let Stripe handle all of it because we're paying them more and more. Apparently, every few years the price is going up and whatnot. Yep. So why not use their infrastructure where they've got a huge team that are managing all of this? We'll still send certain emails which we think are valuable for our customers, like the upcoming payment. The email you did is much better than Stripe's one. But for sending invoices, I used to like the idea of the whole custom message and the little line in there. Do you remember that? We had a list of lines, but
thank you for supporting indie software or something like that.
Yeah, and we'd actually had a line depending on how many you had. The first invoice, second invoice, different line per invoice.
Oh yeah, there was things like check out this podcast or this blog post or something like that.
But it's extra no one's looking at that. I mean, maybe a few people are, but it's extra maintenance. We're now writing tests for this to keep it maintained, and we're fetching the PDF from Stripe, and we're doing a bunch of extra stuff. We don't need to be doing that. And the new thing is that they can also get the receipt alongside the invoice, which I think a lot of people in Germany and the EU will really appreciate, I'm sure. So we're definitely, it's going to be good to move to that. And you've been on support for the last little while, and I
have. Our support guys away, so I've been doing support, and it's been interesting. I'm so glad we hired somebody for support.
It is a full-time job.
It is, and it's a full-time. It takes up space in my mind full-time if I'm doing support full-time, basically, while he's away, which people are allowed to take vacations.
It takes up space in your brain. That's
totally
the thing, by
does.
the way. You can reply to tickets and everything, and you can blitz through when you have to, but things stay in your mind, and you have ongoing tickets and ongoing context, and that's when I think it starts getting exhausting. I really do.
And even just wondering, like, I'll be like writing something, I'm like, oh, I haven't checked the inbox for like an hour, and then it's like, oh, okay, there's now several more tickets in there.
We hired full time on this for a reason. So
I'm so glad we did.
Yeah. But what are you noticing on support? What's coming up?
Yeah, I mean, I think something that I've noticed lately, and that we noticed in the beginning too, was like trying to decide whether or not we do discounts and sales. Mm-hmm. And we took a really hard stance on this, which, given my personality, is the opposite of what I feel like I think I would do, but I think it makes sense. So Fathom has never, ever had a sale or a discount, other than obviously like you get your $10 with the affiliate link, and the affiliate gets like 25% for life, which is still ridiculous that we do that, but we do that and people fucking love it. But so like we've never done like a Black Friday sale. Like we get every Black Friday, we get emails like, oh, are you guys running a sale? We're like, no, we're not. And it's funny, like an email came in, I think it was Friday or Saturday, about somebody, and they were signing up for a substantial plan, and they were like, oh, well, it would make me make the decision easier if we could get a bit of a discount, because we're going to be paying you a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And I was like, it's tempting, right? Like I want to close a sale of like a lot of money, but I was like, no, we have a fucking rule. Like the fact that things can be rules just make it easier to not have to make decisions like that. So our rule is we don't have discounts or sales. And so everybody pays the same price. And I explained this to the guy. I'm like, look, I would love to offer you a deal, but that wouldn't be fair to all of our other customers who pay full price because nobody gets a deal. And we never run sales either. So we don't artificially mark our software up in price to lower it down when it's like Black Friday or like fucking Black Friday in July or like whatever the sale things are, Boxing Day in Canada. Like, we don't mark our software up so we can reduce the price later and still have good margins. I'm like, the price is a price, and you can feel confident that the price you pay now is the price that everybody's paying on the plan that you're signing up for.
Yep.
And he was like, okay, cool, done. And he signed up like 2 seconds later. So like he asked for a discount because he wanted a discount. I mean, I've done that as well. I have to, after this call, I have to call a furniture company and get them to apply a discount.
Yep.
for some furniture that I bought. So like, I understand it. I don't think people are being cheeky when they ask for it, because like I fucking do the same thing.
We're just not playing that game.
I have to stop playing that game.
We're just not playing that game.
Yes.
No, you know these companies are playing that game. You know the
100%.
game and you're going to play their game. We're choosing not to play in that game effectively, aren't we?
Yeah. And it always sucks too, right? Like, if you buy something and then like 2 weeks later it goes on sale and you're like, fuck. Mm-hmm. Like, why didn't I? And that's what happened with the furniture. I bought some furniture. It's for some reason it's taking 6 months for them to send it to me. And then like a few weeks later, I got an email saying that it's all 20% off. So I emailed the company. I was like, hey, I don't have this yet, but now it's on sale. So
yeah, this is a classic example of where these companies are marking things up tremendously.
Yeah.
I mean, we did a price increase back in January. We increased our price by $1 for the base plan, and we raised the price on bigger plans because they were actually costing us more money because of the infrastructure we're using and whatever else. We don't mark them up substantially. So that is why, another reason why we don't do the discounts. If we had the $15 plan and then suddenly made it into like a $45 plan and you can get a $10 discount or a 10% discount, that's a different story, isn't it?
Yeah.
But we don't do that.
I mean, I guess we do have a discount. Sign up yearly and you save 17%.
Yeah, exactly. That's the discount. Which we don't even have to do that. But people like it, I guess. We don't have to do that.
I mean, I see that as like a win-win, right? Like, I see that as we get the money up front, and companies can always use money up front. Mm-hmm. It's just how it works.
Yeah.
And then because they've locked in for a year, they know they're getting a great price, and they're saving a bit of money on that. They're basically essentially getting 2 months for free. But we offer that to everybody. And I guess the issue that I've always had with discounts is when they're kind of applied to some but not others, and then that doesn't feel fair. Like, any discount we have, which is really just the affiliate program and the sign up for yearly, is literally available to everybody publicly.
Yeah.
So
it feels easier. Honestly, there's no stress. We're not negotiating and everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's a general rule. Like, even if our support guy's on support, he would have the exact same reply that I did. It wasn't because I'm the owner of the company that I can reply like that. Yep. We know that he replies the exact same way. Like, this is the rules. Like, the rules are the rules. We can't do anything, and then it makes it easy.
It does.
So
that's today's episode.
All right, thanks everybody for listening, and we'll catch you again soon. Cheers.